Good morning family and welcome to Sweeney's Creek Farm. Today we've got a little bit of a job to do. In one of our previous videos we were planting our tomatoes, and I'm not sure if you can see them here, but they're doing very well, and I need to do a bit of a job today to make sure that they keep growing well. Last year I purchased these little tomato clips, and as you can see they're very flimsy. They were just cheap ones off Amazon or eBay, I'm not quite sure. So this year I decided that I would have a look at purchasing some real tomato clips and not these. These didn't last more than a season. I bought about 300 of them and I think I've got a handful left. I found a company online in Australia and they sell these clips. They're UV stabilized, they're commercial grade, and they're really tough, and the clips are really great. Compared to these ones, they're really good. As you can see, these clips are really flimsy, and the theory is that when you put the string in, when it closes, this is supposed to grab the string, but as you can see, it doesn't. So I'll just show you this one here. Hopefully you can see that. This has got little teeth. The string goes in there, and when you close it, it holds on. So then you wrap that around the tomato and it holds the tomato up so it can grow upwards and not outwards. The reason I purchased these was because they seem to be really good. They got some good reviews, they got some bad reviews. I maybe should have paid more attention to those ones, but they were cheap too. I thought the commercial ones would be a lot dearer, but in the end I purchased 1,000. It cost me less than 500 of those cheap ones. So purchasing cheap isn't always economical. These ones will last years and they work way better, as you can see. So now what I have to do is run some wire across here, so then I can actually tie these up. And how am I going to tie these up, you may ask? Well, you know, we made these out of trampolines and there was a bit of a waste product. These. I will actually hang these off the wire, and then I will put the string down, and then I will use these clips. To make sure the wire's tight, because it will be carrying some weight, I've got these little turnbuckles. I'm not exactly sure what they're called elsewhere, but as you twist this, it brings these in and tightens. So I'll put this up one end, run the wire across, and then I'll tighten them. I am going to drill a couple of holes in the tube here and run the wire through that just to give it a little bit more support. They are actually, they do have holes on one side, but obviously not the other.
So what we're doing here is picking a hole that's roughly directly above the garden bed. So that will then be a hole where the wire will feed through. That will create a support up here that we can then hang the wire down. So we've just got to make sure we go through in the same spot all the way along. We've got all the holes drilled all the way through this run above this garden bed. This turnbuckle won't attach through that hole, so we have to run some wire through, bring it back, attach it into that loop, and then the other loop on this side will attach to the rest of the wire, and then turning that will tighten it up. That's got him. That's just a rudimentary loop there that will now hold that in place. The other wire will attach onto there, go through the holes, and then we'll be able to tighten it all up from here. Too easy. We're up to the last stage, so we've got that wire fed through all of the holes. We just need to now get it on the turnbuckle. Important thing with the turnbuckle is to make sure that you wind these out as far as they'll go. That gives you a maximum amount of draw that you can actually then tension up the wire. If that's halfway in, then you're reducing the amount you can actually tighten your wire. This wire will slacken over time as well. It will stretch. If it does loosen off a bit, you can just twist these turnbuckles and tighten it up a bit, and that will keep it nice and taut and keep it up near the top of the high tunnel. So I pulled that wire through as tight as I could, just using the pliers for a good grip. I pulled it through and around. As you can see, it's still got a bit of slack in there. So now, just by turning that turnbuckle, both of those screws are heading in and tensioning that wire. And that's getting nice and tight there now. That's pretty good. So that should now be able to support the weight of those tomatoes. The next stage is just using these trampoline springs. Lovely item with a hook on both ends. So they simply hook over there, and then we tie the string onto that end and then run the string down, which then Julianne can then attach the tomato plant to the string, and it gives it a growing support as it goes up. And again, just makes good use of items that would normally be thrown out.
For these little clips, we need some twine. Now, I priced up some twine, some actual tomato twine, and it was over $100 for a roll. It's just a polyester or polypropylene. Now, we can actually use our string line, our builder string line, because that's UV stabilized, but I actually found this right next to the twine, and it was $10. So we're going to test this out and see how it goes. As you can see, we've got some really big clouds coming in, and we're hoping that it brings some rain, because yesterday we hit almost 40 degrees Celsius. Today it has cooled down, but it's still around 30 degrees. So it's a little bit hot. I can't find the end of this string line. All I'm going to do with this is just make a loop. So there's my little loop. I will put it on here. So I've rung the string line down. I'm going to open this up, clasp it around, and there you go. And I'm going to run a few more just down a little bit further. But as this grows, I'll just keep on doing that here. And as you can see, that's now supporting this here. So I'll just cut this off down here. I'll grab another clamp and I'll put that down the bottom. And there you go. There you go. It's all clipped on. And as I said, as it grows, I'll be able to clip more on to hold this upright. One down, 111 more to go, I believe. As you can see behind us, they're all done. Each individual tomato plant has its own string. It's attached at the bottom, and I've clipped a few up As I stated before, we'll be clipping these up as they go along, and some of these are indeterminate, so they will actually grow really, really big. Some are bush and some are volunteers, so I don't know what they are. We're hoping that makes it a lot easier to harvest because they'll grow up and not out, and yeah, it's worked really, really well. I'll put a link to the company that I actually purchased these clips off. They're Active Vista, no affiliation. I paid for these myself. So what do I actually think of the clips? Well, so far so good. There was only one or two that didn't want to clip, and I think I've used probably about 200, so I've got about 800 left. I'll be able to do that as they go along. So they've been fantastic, and hopefully they'll last a lot longer than the other ones. If you've got any questions, pop a comment below. I'm happy to answer those, but hope you've enjoyed this video, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.